Practice set 11. For each problem, use the cosine ratio to determine the size of angle A. Use the procedure shown in example 36. Write your answers to the nearest tenth of a degree. Since we are looking for the measure of angle A, we'll use that as a reference angle. We will use that to help us label the sides of the right triangle, always starting with the longest side opposite the right angle, calling it the hypotenuse, through the triangle, using A as our reference angle. This side will be our opposite, and the third side then is the adjacent side. The cosine ratio for a right triangle is the cosine of an angle is equal to the ratio of the adjacent side length over the hypotenuse length. Plugging in values that we know, the adjacent side has a length of 1.5, the hypotenuse has a length of 2.05. Next, we'll simplify the division by taking the numerator 1.5 and dividing it by 2.05, giving us a decimal value of 0.7317. We want to get the angle A by itself. To undo cosine, we will take the inverse of cosine, which is the arc cosine of both sides. Our cosine of cosine, since these are inverse operations, leaves us with angle A. And the arc cosine of this decimal value, using your calculator, generally is designated with cosine to the negative 1 power. And to get to that function on your calculator, you'll most likely have to hit a second or an inverse key to get to this function on your calculator. Doing so gives you an angle measurement of 42.97, and rounding that to the nearest tenth results in an angle measurement of 43.0 degrees. Problem number 3, we're trying to find the measure of angle A. We'll use that as our reference angle. Labeling the sides, always starting with the side opposite the right angle. The longest side we call the hypotenuse. With A, our anchor, that means this side will be designated as opposite, and the third side, then we will label the adjacent. Using the cosine ratio, which is the adjacent side length over the hypotenuse in a right triangle, we will put those side values that we've identified. The adjacent has a value of 35. The hypotenuse has a value of, or length of 36.1. Replacing this fraction by dividing numerator by the denominator, 35 divided by 36.1 gives us a value of 0.9695. Now we're ready to get the angle by itself, and to cancel out or eliminate the cosine, we will take the inverse function, arc cosine of the cosine. And what we do to one side, we need to do to the other side to maintain equality. The arc cosine of cosine of an angle leaves us with angle A, and the arc cosine of this value, and again, most likely you will see cosine to the negative 1 as the designation for arc cosine, will give us a value for this angle of 14.2 degrees.